Welcome back, you guys. I'm Tassie, and this is my Shaman Memoirs channel, and I'm so happy because I'm speaking English. Alright, you guys, as you can clearly tell, English is my first language, hands down, no denying it. I really do not speak Hmong. I know a lot of people, they did recommend that I listen to Hmong music, and I watch Hmong movies. I'm gonna tell you this, when I was younger, I thought that was a great idea to up my vocabulary, right? No, it didn't work because I'm going to tell you this. I have no problem hearing and understanding anybody when they speak Hmong, okay? What I struggle with is being able to repeat it. And I do this thing that I think people think is weird, but when I hear certain words in Hmong, I sit there and I repeat it and I repeat it and I repeat it, mostly because I find it entertaining, the sound of it and the way you're pronouncing it. But I gave up on the whole listening to Hmong music thing to up my vocabulary because I have discovered very early on it wasn't helping me. Not only was I actually not practicing the vocals part where you are trying to speak it, right? Reiterate the words until you can say it better. I couldn't really find a time to use the words I learned. If any of you have ever listened to Hmong music, Hmong love songs, let's go there, like the sappy, lovey-dovey ones, which is quite popular. I have a really hard time understanding it. I know, I just said that I can understand Hmong. Okay, so there's a singer. And there is nothing wrong with this singer. I do not know this singer, but she's very, very popular. And her name is Yasmi. I have tried on many occasions to listen to her songs, but I cannot understand what she is saying. She has a really popular song. It's called, it's a girl's name. Gao? 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 No, it's Gao. It's another Gao word. It's Gao Sheng. It's Gao Sheng. That song, I listened to it literally 15 times in a row. 15, y'all. Because I couldn't make out the words. I could understand the beginning, and then I have no idea what she's saying. And I literally had to ask my friends who could speak Hmong very well, and they listened to a lot of Hmong songs, okay? I had to ask them to literally translate it for me, because I was like, what's wrong with me? Like, why can't I understand this? Because she uses like, it's like, in Hmong, they call it bahua. I think that's how you say it. It's basically like poems, like poetry. It's not literal words. It's other words describing the moon. Like 50 words, and all they were talking about the whole time was the moon. Like, it's very, you have to follow along. Like, you really have to pay attention to the lyrics. And my attention span is quite minimal. Now, I will tell you guys this. I prefer Hmong rap music. There is a group I just recently discovered. They are called, they're in Sacramento. Sons of No Town. I think I'm pronouncing it right. It's all in one word, but you know, like how people call it, you know, SoCal and NorCal. I feel like there should be an R sound in that, like Sons of Nortown, but I don't think they really mean North California. They probably just mean No Town as in North Sacramento. I don't know. I've only been to Sacramento once, and it was just driving through. So, but anyways, the whole point of this story is with rap music, they use real words, you guys, okay? When I say real words, they use words that you would use in normal conversation, not like a boat suddenly. I'm not going to talk about a boat suddenly. Not talking about a boat. I'm just using a boat in reference. Freaking Gao Sheng, man. Where did a boat come from? I swear, it's something with a boat in that song. There's something about Okay, and then when people actually explained the lyrics to me, it made no sense. I was like, where did you get this? It's supposed to be a tragic song, I guess. Something about this Gao Sheng girl has really bad luck or fate. I don't know. And somehow she's like in love with some other woman's husband. I think that's what it's about. I don't know. She just wasn't happy with her first husband or something like that. Okay, so the whole point of this is, again, rap music I tend to always gravitate more towards in general. So I tend to prefer Hmong rappers. Now, there is a guy named Shong. Don't ask me his last name. His name is just Shong. And this past summer, I discovered him. And he had this song that came out. And it was about giving thanks to his parents. But anyways, he uses a word in there. And this is what I told you guys about how when I hear somebody say a certain word that I probably haven't heard of, or I think is a really fun word, I repeat it a lot. And then I try to use it in all the wrong ways. I think he is saying, Baka. Earlier, I kept thinking it was Bakana. Bakana. Doesn't Bakana mean that group over there? Like those weirdos? I swore, whenever I've heard Bakana, I've heard it in like a negative connotation. Like the word thought. Like, I give up. Because I was like in love with this word forever after I heard the rapper Shong use it in his lyrics, because I was like, what is this? So I kept going around asking people if they were baka. Somebody finally explained to me that baka means like it's my way or the straight way, or are you good? Okay, don't come at me. Okay, these are the people who are using it. Okay, they didn't understand the context that I was using it in too. I will give them that. But then there was a group of people who I actually played the song for. And then that's how they explained this Shong guy was using the lyrics in, that it was always his way. And he didn't care. Because. Don't worry, y'all. I won't subject you guys anymore to my Hmong. I'll never do another video in all Hmong because you guys have no idea how hard it is to friggin' one, speak it, two, edit it all and put in the subtitles accordingly. Okay, so the whole point of this video this week, you guys, it's going to be about transitioning into like a shaman. And then I'm going to talk about the different shrine levels. So I know that I've mentioned this in passing in several videos, I believe, kind of like your first levels. I've mentioned the levels a lot. So this time I think we're going to go into it a little bit more by exactly what I mean by your different levels, how you know when you're ready to move on to your next level. Granted, disclaimer, it is based off of my lineage because it's my experience. I do know that there are shamans who go through like 7 levels. Some people will have to raise their shrine 7 times. So, you know, like, and then not every shaman is the same. So again, this is going to be like my lineage requirements, where if I had a student, I would want to make sure they checked off all these boxes before I allow them to move on to the next level. So that's how you kind of know if you're going to be ready for that next level or not. Now, I definitely think one of the biggest things I talk about in my videos about, you know, being a shaman, you know, it's going to be finding your teacher and how hard that journey is alone. And then even when you're trying to raise and be a shaman, that is such a hard journey too. So I think that the number one important thing for a lot of people who are going to become a shaman, or they are shamans and they're struggling, and even if they've been a shaman and they've been through it, and I say this quite a bit, but I'm going to say it again, it is really about accepting. It is about, you know, the power of belief, like the Skeleton Key. I also talk about the Skeleton Key movie. It's about how much power do you give it? How it's like any faith that's out there. You need to have faith in yourself for it to work accordingly. And with shamanism, how that ties together, it's going to be, you know, if you don't have faith in yourself and your guides, you're really letting them down and you're really letting yourself down. And it's really tied to your emotions. So with shamans, you know, like a lot of people don't talk about the mental health that's involved with shamans and what they actually go through, because one, you don't talk about it. Like shamanism in general in the Hmong community, it's so secretive, as you guys know. And I always encourage those who are willing to talk about their experiences, share what they can, because obviously a lot of it you're not allowed to. But there's so much that you can talk about that can only help future generations, can always help even the older generations, but they never had anybody who taught them or told them, because everybody goes through a lot of friggin' mental stress becoming a shaman. Not only are you pitted against other shamans, especially those in the family, okay? I don't really have many shamans in my family. I think I'm the only one. Gonna be judged on your abilities, your performance. And then you have your teacher judging you. Why aren't you going the way I would want you to, like my other students? And then, you know, you have your spouses, your friends, your siblings, you know, there's so much going on with that shaman. And I'm just going to tell you guys the truth. If you are starting off as a shaman on your first shrine, the most important shrines, I believe, it is the first and the second shrine. That is the most important, because that is your foundation. That's going to be your roots. If you guys do not have a strong foundation, don't even think about moving on to your next levels, because it's only going to get worse from there, okay? It's not going to get easier. And you really should step away from a lot of other shamans during this time. You really, really need to put your foot down. And if you're not comfortable having people come over and watch you oneng, you know, like go into the spirit world, don't have people come over. You really need to cut out people in your life who do not support you. I have been very, very fortunate in my life that the people in my life, they really, especially like my siblings and everything, we are such huge supporters of one another. You know, that's just how we were raised. We're firstborn generation Hmong American. You know, you were raised with parents who survived a war, who beat you every time you acted out, you know, and literally you had to really look out for one another. That's the generation I was raised in. And so with that, we always, even if we don't agree with our life choices, we will always support you because we just want you to be happy, whatever that decision is. So even with my family, even if they weren't shamanism or they went to church, it wasn't about, oh, you have a different faith, you are a different person, I cannot be around you. It's not like that at all. You know, it's like, you know, my family or my in-laws, we all go to church, we pray, etc. And we grew up going to church, you know. So, but they will still see me for who I am, that I am their sister. And they will come and help me kill chickens. They will come and help cook and clean, you know, for the event. So it's really about the support system too. So any type of negativity, I highly recommend, this is going to be the moment where you need to stand up for yourself, because all of the negativity and all of the stress, it's gonna just tear you down. Totally and utterly. So even though my family, they may not have believed in shamanism or anything like that, it wasn't about that part. It was about that we were family and we just support one another. And I get it. Not every family is going to be like that. I totally get it. You know, but I've had people ask me, you know, like, what kind of support system did I have? You know, and so definitely the people who are in my lives, they definitely always supported me. They were there if I needed them for anything. And I absolutely hate asking anybody to help during a ceremony or an event. I'm the kind of person who will pay you, okay? Just because growing up and knowing and hearing stories about, oh God, this family, you know, like this family, they follow shamanism. It's the old way. It's a lot of work. So I totally understand that. And it's your weekend off from work. You want to sleep in, you want to do things with your kids. So, you know, to me, I knew how much of a burden that was to the people in my life too. So that's why we would cater food. And then everybody just takes home all this meat that we chopped up and we have a big barbecue another time. So it's really just being very appreciative too of those in your life who really do support you, who do help, and who do come and watch you online. You know, like that's such a big part. And for me, did I have people who were jealous of me? Did I have people who were afraid of me? Yes. Yes, I had that in my life too. And I have talked about this in my other videos, you know, like where people thought I was favored, or they became really afraid of what I could see and do. And, you know, maybe they were Catholic and they didn't like it that I knew they were Catholic. And so it's just, you know, like it scares people. And all of that aside, as a new shaman or even going through it, you have to remember it's just like as a kid, your first experiences, it is totally going to shape you into who you are. So for myself, you know, I was always taught by my guides, very strictly, I might add, that everybody is allowed. They have every right to feel the way they do. Every right. Whether they're afraid of you, whether they're jealous of you, whether they're mad at you. Everybody has their own reasoning. Everybody has their own time, and everybody has their own right. It is not up to you to change how they feel. It's not. And whatever their reasoning is, you are, okay, I am taught that, you know, because everybody has free will, and as long as they're not harming you on purpose in a certain type of way, like a magical way, I have to just let it be. And it's something where you just accept that this is the reality of humanity. It is the reality of the world. You're not going to be able to change that. And you shouldn't either, because you know, the beginning stages of you becoming a shaman, it can really show people's true colors. Even though you might believe, you know, I'm always going to be good. I've seen too many evil shamans. I'm always going to be good. Will you be tested? Okay. You're going to be tested like crazy. You know, there's a lot of things that, as far as going into becoming a shaman, you need to really look inside of yourself and really learn about yourself. You know, like what are your limits? And the reason why I tell you guys to take yourself away from shamans, like I wasn't around a lot of shamans until my second and third shrine. And during my first shrine, really I just focused on myself. Yeah, it was only a week long. Okay, I get it. But but I will tell you guys this. When I first started and I went to my teachers, you know, like if you guys watched my first time in the spirit world video I did a long time ago, you know, I wasn't a believer in any of it, you know, and so I did it because I thought I was going to die. I thought I had a tumor, you guys. So, and, you know, even doing it, I still didn't believe it. You know, like you sit on the bench and then all of a sudden you start shaking. And I'm like, you know, I still don't believe in this. I mean, come on, you guys. I was raised by spirits, you know, like this wasn't phasing me. This alone was not convincing me of shamanism. And, you know, like just seeing things, hearing things and all sorts of stuff. I still didn't believe in it until they literally forced me to do everything. And then like my teacher, she confirmed like all this stuff. And I'm just like, okay, maybe. Okay, like, but then during my first shrine, I spent so much time really just internalizing everything because one, I was just kind of dumbfounded. Literally, I remember I was being driven home and I just kind of just stared out the window, like just stared, because I was like, everything was hitting me where I was like, holy shit, this is real. Because, you know, yeah, a part of me always believed in it to a point because we were raised that way, right? We were raised that we just have shamans in our community. I didn't know anything about it, but I knew so many people believed in it and so many people did it. There must be some validity to this, right? But, you know, it doesn't hit home until it happens to be you. And then, you know, for myself, you know, I'm a really big believer in growing as an individual. You know, like I always assess myself from the previous years. What did I achieve in the previous years? What are my goals that I have had set, and which ones have I not accomplished yet? And if I have accomplished goals, what are my new goals? Like, I'm really big on always growing as an individual. So, you know, with me being in the whole shaman thing, I internalized and I assessed a lot of the things that, you know, like what are going to be my limits? You know, like, you know, I had no real expectations of how things were going to go. And I didn't understand that people could struggle on their journey. And at this time, I didn't even know that there were teachers who could be evil towards their students. And I didn't even know that, you know, students could be evil towards their teacher. You know, like that wasn't even on my mind. I was just more focused on how am I going to grow as a person now that I'm a shaman? What about me is going to change? What about me do I never want changed? You know, so you really, really need to not just think like, oh, I'm going to help and cure people. That's what everybody goes into, but that's like an easy answer out. I feel like it's a given. Everybody goes into it trying to save the world. Okay, I'm going to tell you that. But, you know, what ends up happening though is when you are faced in certain situations that you weren't prepared for, you don't really know how you're going to act. You really don't until it's that time. And that's when you are going to have people who, you know, they never really assessed what are their limits, what will they never agree to do, what, you know, because you really have to know yourself and ask yourself these tough kind of questions because it will happen, man. Like, and then all of a sudden you compromise yourself. Are you the same person? Are you now a super bitter person? And for myself, I discovered that when I was left alone as a shaman, I was my happiest. You know, I didn't like having a lot of people come looking for my services because it leads to drama that I really didn't need in my life. And there were so many shamans who really covet that title. They covet having a lot of people go to them. So I didn't want to be the person who takes it from them because you know, like they just cared for it too much. It was too important to them. But that was never something that was important to me. So I'm going to be like, oh, wait, don't even look at me. Like, I don't know how to do anything. That's how I am. There's a saying. I do this a lot at bars. When you block yourself, you know, like, I literally will always block myself from certain, what other people might view as, you know, like amazing. You know, like an amazing goal, right? Like that's not my goal. So I will always block it from coming towards me because that wasn't my intention. That wasn't my goal. And those who genuinely want that and who care for it, I want them to be able to achieve it. You know, like don't come to me. Don't look for me. My siblings and I, we were just talking about this over the weekend about what would it be like if I raised my shrine again? I'd disappear from YouTube, y'all. I mean, for me, I genuinely believe that there are a lot of shamans who struggle and are lost and they don't have anybody to talk to them and explain things to them and to give them, you know, like what they need to hear versus what they want to hear, you know? So, because for myself, even becoming a shaman and everything like that, I didn't have that. You know, I didn't have a complete stranger shaman who was just going to just randomly look at you and just tell you exactly what you needed to hear, but not, you know, what you wanted to hear. Because, you know, when you're a shaman and you're in the community, a lot of shamans tend to know you. And so with that, I don't like it because it tends to skew the answers. It skews what should happen for you. So I don't necessarily like that either. So, and then there were times where I felt like I was going crazy, but you know, like when I'm stressed or I go crazy, I talk to spirits because they they help me overcome those times, you know. But I know for a lot of people, they don't have that ability or they don't have that capability. So what would help them is just having another shaman to explain that this is completely normal, what you're going through. You're not going to know what you're doing at all until years later. It is completely normal. So, you know, I felt like some shamans who I would see and know, they were struggling so much because they just didn't have somebody to trust. They didn't have somebody to just talk to. And, you know, not like know all their gossip, know if they were a black sheep. Because again, some shamans won't help others if they are a black sheep in the family or the community, because they don't want anything to do with you. They don't want to be tied to you in any way. So in reality, there's so many shamans who do struggle, but they just need that little bit of something to help them finally make the connection. And this all ties back to how difficult it is just finding a teacher and all of that too. So the mental health of a shaman is so important, but nobody will understand it unless they went through it, you know, because even I was going crazy, even though as a kid, you know, seeing spirits, talking to them all the way up to adult, it was still difficult because of those damn books. Okay, like, and even then, I didn't have anybody who taught me how you should raise your spirit guides, you know, because one of my best friends, she happens to be a shaman, and she literally, like, she's such a strict person. Like, so she'll like look at me and she'll be like, man, you just let your guides do whatever they want, huh? Like, what are you, like, what? Like, and I'm just looking at her like, because they love to just do whatever they want. But, you know, like, nobody teaches you, you know, like, oh, you gotta be careful because these guides like to kill a lot of spirits. You know, like, nobody teaches me that, you know, I gotta be careful because what if I'm around somebody who has spirits that may not be good for them? My guides might just go around killing them. You know, like, I'm not prepared for that until it actually happens. So a lot of that I had to learn. And then, you know, like, I had guides who, you know, even though your guides understand you, you still have to learn to understand them. And so, and it's such a cheat, I swear. Because, like, and this is something that I think a lot of people may not understand, but regardless of your abilities to communicate with your guides, I guarantee you 1,000%, your guides can hear you. Your guides can feel you and what you're feeling. They can hear you. They can see you. They know it all, okay? Even if you're hiding it from them. It don't work, okay? Hiding stuff from it doesn't exist, okay? Like, I don't know how many more times I have to say this to you guys, but you are your guides, and your guides, they are you. However, the biggest difference is you need to bridge the connection with your guides, because they will always be able to understand what you want and what you need. Do they always listen? Do they always do it the way you want it? No. But it will come into full circle, and then you'll be like, oh, I was just stupid. I didn't see. You know, like, literally, that's what it is. It's you as the shaman. You need to bridge that with your guides. And so that part, that leap there, is probably one of the most difficult parts of being a shaman. I know I've talked about a lot of difficult stuff that shamans go through, okay? But that's just the basics, okay? Like, to be a successful shaman, it is the bridging of your guides and you as an individual. So, you know, because people think the stories, and they hear my story, you know, spirits just come and they do it all, because I don't believe in anything. So my guides know that about me. So they force me. They always force me to do everything. And so am I bitter? Yes. But at the same time, they also know I won't do anything if they don't force me. So, but that's not going to be the way for everybody. So I don't want you guys to think, well, you know, Tassie's stories, you know, she doesn't do anything. Her guides do everything. Yes, but that may not be the case for everybody. You know, like, And that's another reason why I think during your first level, you really need to pull yourself away from a lot of shamans, because what you're going to see, what you're going to go through is you're going to see other shamans maybe becoming very successful in certain aspects of their journey. But that is their journey. You are on a totally different path. But what happens is human nature, you tend to compete, you tend to watch, and you tend to only want what they have versus what you have, and nurturing what you have and learning it. So during your first level, you really should stay away from everybody else except for maybe your teacher. But even then, your teacher can only teach you so much and help you so much, because you need to really bridge that connection with your guides during that time. That is so important, because if you don't even have that, you're just going to struggle more during the second level. So the different shrine levels, and remember my disclaimer, y'all, this is for my lineage, okay? It's not going to apply for every lineage, and every shaman master will have different expectations of their students at certain levels. You know, for me, I just know a lot of people, they struggle with, once they have a teacher, they're too afraid to lose a teacher, even if they know that's not their teacher, but they don't want to have no teacher. You know what I'm saying? And then you have those who just don't trust their teacher, or who were forced into the teacher relationship because they had no choice, but inside they know that's not their teacher. So that's why this is business. It's not personal. You know, like, if you cannot keep up, I'm not your teacher. That's just it. Like, I have no hard feelings. None. Because I probably didn't even want you. That was my experience. You know, I wanted to be just a nobody. This is why I'm so strict when it comes to it. Because it shouldn't be that hard. And if it is, I don't want to deal with you. Okay, first level. First level for me, in my lineage, you should be able to hungo with no problem. Even if it's in a different language, you should have no problem. And you should have no problem with your guides showing you the spirit world. So if you feel like you're going in a circle and you're not going anywhere, no. Like, just no, okay? If you feel like you're making up words, but sometimes you hear, sometimes you don't, no. It should just be crystal clear. Like, literally for me, my experience was when I first did it, before I actually had a shrine. When I had my shrine, it was intense. I'll tell you that. So when I first did it, if you guys remember from my video, it was like words, like they weren't real words. So I didn't want to say it. Because, I mean, one, I didn't even speak Hmong that well, okay? Let's get that straight. And then two, I was like, I know this isn't a Hmong word though, because I can understand Hmong just fine. Because they were speaking Shaw. You know, they were saying Chinese words to me, but I was like, I don't know what they're saying, man. And because I don't know what it's like for shamans to start being a shaman, I just figured you went to Oneng, you know, going to the spirit world, and you knew how to do everything. Like, literally, that's what I thought it was. I had no idea that it would be like this, you know? So I would hear all these words and all these songs and verses, and I wouldn't say them. But the funny thing is, my teacher, she knew I could hear it. She knew, because her Huaneng, they also talked to her, and they told her she can hear it. So she kept calling me out, and I'm sitting there like, man. But she was calling me out like, they're telling me you can hear them. And I'm like, So it was just, it was very difficult because I was trying to catch up. I was trying to chase after the verses because I was struggling, because they weren't words and I wasn't letting go. That's pretty much it. I wasn't letting go. I was trying to control it too much because, one, I didn't know what I was supposed to do. You know, like, she just sat me down and told me to go, you know, like that. I was like, can I watch some shamans first? Because I don't see shamans. What am I supposed to do? And then, obviously I didn't get to watch any shamans go first. So But when I finally raised my shrine, okay, what happened was that day my teacher came, we do a whole ceremony. It is a whole ceremony, because before you should even raise your first shrine, your teacher should do a ceremony to fix you spiritually. In case y'all didn't know that, y'all should have had a ceremony done the day you raised your shrine. Your teacher fixes you with the pig and everything, and then they will bring your kuning down for you. Why would a teacher raise you, give you a shrine, bring your kuning down to you, your spirit guides, but not fix you? Okay, so make sure you're always fixed first, okay? In case it didn't happen to you. Think about it, okay? Anyways, so literally she brought my kuning down, and these are like your starters, okay? Your starters. And after she was done, she had me sit down, and now it was my turn to do it in front of everybody. And so literally they hit the gong 3 times, and I just took off. And as I was going, my spirit guides came, and they took me down this road, and I saw this beautiful Chinese woman. Gorgeous. You know, the one who looks like on the Joss paper, you know, like, it looked like a painting how pretty she was. And she was literally sitting on a rock, okay? Because we're on a side of a mountain. And I get yelled at. And then, what took you so long? And my answer is always, well, I'm here now. So then, literally, it was like a dam broke. And all this water just rushed through. And everything came out. Like, the Chinese just came out so easily. It was just like, and then of course my teacher didn't like that, because she needed to make sure that I was speaking some Hmong, because when people watch the shaman, if I'm always speaking in Chinese, you're not going to know what I'm saying. You're not going to know at what point do I need your assistance for something. But my guides, they know that. So they were, you know, they have their own opinion, okay? So, because the whole point of it is, your ngo, which are birds, you guys. So when people say for shamans, go hung go, that's a bird, literally. And that's where all the verses come from. Now, sometimes if you struggle with it, your teacher should try to do certain little things in the spirit world to help you be able to hung go better. But, you know, if on your first shrine and you are struggling and you can't do it, I know there's something wrong, and I'm leaning towards wanting to cut you. Now, not literally cut you off as a student, that's all I meant. At that point, because whenever I go into the spirit world, I could see things, and they would talk to me, and I can hear them, right? Not every shaman is going to be like that, which I'm really well aware of that. However, for myself, though, my guides, they would literally always take me everywhere, and they would explain things to me, and they would show me things, okay? So that should all happen on your first shrine. Now, your second shrine. Your second shrine is really going to be when you are almost and fully becoming a shaman on your own. So at this point in your second level, you should be able to do all the basics of what a shaman should be able to do based off of my lineage. So you should be able to fix people now, host your own ceremonies, and actually fix illnesses. You should be able to fix yourself. You should be able to cleanse spirits in the spirit world, even without doing a full ceremony, because oftentimes you must cleanse yourself and your spirit guides and your home. And at this point, you should be able to find out if you know how to shayai. Shayai, it's really up to certain shamans have the ability and some don't. Not every shaman is going to have that capability. So that is the shamans who can basically see things and answer questions and seek into illnesses without having to enter fully into the spirit world. Maybe they look at joss money, they light incense sticks, they look at candles, they look at flowers. So that is the term shayai. Now, if at that level you can't do that, more than likely you just won't be the type of shaman who can, because not everybody will be able to. At this point, your guides, they should have taught you how to be able to hupli. So hupli, that is, every shaman will have their own verses. Some of the old school shamans, they were taught the verse. Like how I've mentioned, some shamans, their lineage, they teach the verses to younger generations, and that's how they learn it. So that's how come you'll come across a lot of grandmas and grandpas who, when they hupli, they all sound the same. It's because a spirit didn't teach it to them. It means a human taught it to them. It's just like the ABC song, like we could teach you the tune, all the letters that there are in the alphabet, and anybody can sing it and it will all sound alike. That's why. But when a shaman spirit guides teaches it to them, because for myself in particular, my guides are sticklers that it has to be taught from them, not somebody else. They're giving me dirty looks. Anyways, your verses and your tune will sound very different. And that's how you'll see, and you'll come across shamans who their verses are so different. And I'll be honest, maybe because I'm biased, but I prefer the shamans who their guides teach them how to hupli, because not every verse is the same for everybody when you guys go out there to hupli. Because I've done it for a lot of people, and let me tell you this. Something different always happens, okay, to get the spirit to come. Because I can see when the spirit's like, I ain't coming. You gotta do so many things, man. Because I feel like if you're just going off of a song you learned on how to hupli, it doesn't encompass the full picture. So that's why I prefer shamans who their guides teach it to them versus those who know the song, because the power and the meaning behind it all is so different. That's why I'm biased, okay? I'm biased. You should also be able to do black magic. If at this point you are going to be a shaman who can do black magic and your guides teach it to you. A lot of Hmong people actually, they pay other people to teach them black magic, which is totally fine as long as your teacher is okay with it. And you should be able to freely travel the spirit world at this time. You can go in and out of people's homes. You can go outside of your own home and oneng, like do ceremonies to fix other people. So in a nutshell, that's basically the basics of shamanism for the second level for myself. Now, the third level, this is when, one, you are a master shaman on your own. You can raise other students. You can go and the thing is, raising students, it's not that easy. It's not just me teaching them stuff on the outside, right? Like, this is how you set up your shrine. This is how you do it for the new year. Like, it's also taking care of them in the spirit world, where you have to go into the spirit world, reach for their guides, and you have to know what to do. It's not the same for every student. It's not the same for every guide. And if you are the type of shaman, you can konza. That's basically where you're fixing the gravestones of your ancestors. This happens to deal with curses from long ago generations and fixing the whole family, basically. And there is a lot of ghosts and demons when it comes to that. I also forgot to mention, during the second level, you should be able to already defeat low-level ghosts and demons at that point. You should be able to. You should. Okay, like, if you can't. Basically, if you're on your second level and you can't do that, that is the basics of being a shaman for myself. So if I ever had a student who couldn't do that, I would refuse to let them leave their house and do ceremonies for other people. So that comes into full circle on how you need to have all those things before I will let you go to your third level. Because at your third level, you're basically going to be on your own. I'm done being your teacher. Now you are going to be able to kill strong ghosts and demons. Granted, you may still become injured, but that comes with time, where you learn how to better defend yourself. You will be able to bring down all of your guides to yourself. You shouldn't have to wait on your teacher anymore. This is something where you're no longer having to ask. Even if you did ask, my teacher has never once told me the path to get your guides. That doesn't happen, okay? Your guides have to take you there on their own. That's not that easy, y'all. Turn left at the magical house that looks blue. Okay, that doesn't happen, okay? Now, on your guys' third level, your guides, they teach you everything now. You are on your own, essentially. And, you know, whatever issues you have with your students, you really got to figure that out, because it's really going to be, you either drop them and let them move on. And some students are very like, no, you're my only choice or only option. I get it, but really you're not doing them any service by hanging on to them. You're really not. And really with shamanism, it's very lonely. You know, it's very, very lonely. A lot of people don't understand the things that you go through, the things that you see, the things that you know, because some of the things you can't talk about with other people. You know, it's just, you know, it's not, it's kind of like if you talk about it, sometimes it could be bad, where it'll come sooner for certain people. So you really got to learn, okay, how to carry and be the burden of a lot of things, because you can't say it, especially if your guides don't want you to say it or you're not allowed to, because they'll punish you. It's very lonely to carry all this stuff, especially if it's about somebody you care about, you know, and you really can't be doing anything about it. Just because you have the ability to, it doesn't mean you should always be going in there to mess around with it, because it could make it worse. So that's basically the levels of a shaman for my lineage. You know, like you from everything from the basics to, you know, you're really showing that you're progressing during the second level, and you're doing a lot of great things now to finally when you're on your third. And again, this stuff can take some people years to complete, you know, so it's not about a set time frame. Like, nobody should really be on a set time frame for raising and becoming a full-fledged shaman. My cat's in here. So there really is no time frame. It's really your own spiritual growth. And if it becomes too much of an issue, you really need to pull yourself away from other shamans, because you really should be focusing on your own studies and how to become better. And I mean, there are people who they feel like they go and go and go and nothing's happening. You better keep going. That's all I gotta say to you. You just have to keep going. If you're not willing to get a new teacher to see if it's gonna change or make things better, then you need to just keep going until you break through. Because again, you need to make that connection. Your guides, they're there. Oh, they're there. There's a lot of times where I will see people's guides, you know, and I'll talk to them or I'll see them and they'll tell me things that they want me to tell their shaman, right? And, you know, it happens really sporadically where I get a lot of messages, and sometimes my guides will make me reach out to somebody, you know, so it's just because they're like, oh, it's really important. They need to hear this. And I'm like, man, you know, because I'm like, you know, I don't do services, but sometimes my guides, they pick and choose who they want to talk to. So it's really weird. I don't know why they do this, but they do that sometimes. But that's it for this video. Until next time, you guys.